the 29th of September, 2022. If you didn't know, this is a day when the world recognizes how we human beings are part of a problem. Food loss and wastage. In fact, we just leave it there. Now, let me take you back to the statistics that are gonna open your eyes really on how much we as a people lose food. Because go back to a study done by the UN back in 2019 alone. They say that if you look per year how much we lose in terms of tonnage, we are able to fill 23 million trucks. To make it even better or worse, in respect to this conversation, they say that particular line of trucks can circle the earth 13 times if you put in a line. Let's come to Kenya. In Kenya, each household per year, we lose 99 kilograms of food. That's a lot. If you look at what we lose per year, then you're talking about 5 million plus, as around 5.5 million plus. So how do we celebrate this day? How do we recognize this day? All right, let's then introduce the lady and gentleman in the studio who are going to help us understand why this conversation is important. Let me bring to you Zippy Chioya, who is Director, IPAC. I'll be introducing to you what IPAC is. And also Joseph Nyongesa, who is the CEO, Institute of Packaging Professionals of Kenya, or short form, IPAC. Ladies and gentlemen, karibu sana to Look Up TV.
Thank you very much.
Zippy, let me begin with you.
Yes.
Household food loss. Because if we're going to make this conversation a bigger conversation, we have to look at how our households are contributing to this food loss. At a time we were talking about hunger and starvation in the country, where 10 counties have been earmarked. But if you look from 2019, we are talking about 99 kg per household. Let's put that conversation into perspective. Why is that number important for us?
That's an important number for us because already the conversation that is going on in Kenya today, we have people dying because they don't have food. Yet, we have food that is being wasted in households. We have food being wasted in retail. We have food being wasted from the farm to households.
Yes.
So all that food that is being wasted versus people that are dying because of hunger, it's mind-boggling for us. And that's why we're here to talk about, to create this awareness on food loss and waste.
I'll be coming back to you on that, so we can actually now start talking to the particular households. Mr. Nyongesa, could you introduce us to IPAC first? How do you come into this conversation? Who are you? What do you play in the economy, in as much as that is concerned?
Okay, thank you very much for having us. We are from Institute of Packaging Professionals of Kenya.
Yes.
This is a group or association that involves people who are involved in packaging. The companies, the individuals, the users of packaging, and the converters, the ones who make packaging. So this is what this organization is all about. And it is committed, or its mandate is to ensure that the products are packaged properly from the point of production or the farm to the point of consumption.
Yes.
That means the containment. The products must be well contained, must well be preserved, must well be protected, must be moved safely into to the eating table. At least the food is eaten. Let me just go back to nature. Nature packs foods in a very safe way. If you look at a banana, you receive it from nature when it is well packaged, and it is given into our hands. Now, if you look at oranges, they are received from nature and well packaged. When you look at maize, they are removed from nature. You look at any product, whether it is avocado, Now, our role is to take over from that point of where nature hands over the food to us. And you make sure, when you look at it, when you reflect about it, and many times we take it for granted. Normally you get a banana when it is safe, it has been protected, it is contained, and is delivered to us humans to take over. But then the problem comes from the point nature gives us that food to the point that we go to reaches our table or reaches our mouth. So packaging plays that role of making sure the foods are properly packaged, they are properly contained, so that they are protected and preserved and can be moved safely up to the point of consumption. So the whole story of IOPPK or packaging is just about this movement from the point of production or from the farm up to the end.
Yes.
And the IOPPK is a member of African Packaging Organization, which is involved in building packaging capability in the continent of Africa.
Yes.
And I'm currently the Secretary General.
Yes.
It's also part of World Packaging Organization, which is a global organization that addresses matters. Packaging is a reference point. So it is headquartered in Vienna, and we're members of that. So our role is to build packaging capability and skills in this country for protecting the foods in the country and for enabling the Kenyan products to move in terms of geography, because when a product is well packaged, let's talk of milk, for example, like the new developments in this, the new milk, long life milk packs. That milk can move from here to the uttermost parts of the world and can last 6 months. So packaging improves the food safety by making sure the food can move in terms of geography to anywhere in the country and to anywhere in the world. So for example, we don't have to keep cows here in Nairobi because it would be a hassle and very difficult. But because somebody can keep cows somewhere in wherever in the country, in the Western or Rift Valley, that milk from the cow cannot be moved up to here in the city or anywhere else.
Yes.
And it only lasts a few days or a few hours to get bad. So packaging, by the packaging process, we can be able to move that milk from here to anywhere else. And by that packaging, we can move the products of Kenya from here to Europe.
Yes.
The French beans, the mangoes, the avocados can reach China. So the role of packaging is basically that, to make sure that we can safely bring our products to the point of consumption.
Yes.
So why we are in this is because at the global level, World Packaging Organization has gone into, has recognized the role that we are supposed to play, that we have to get into this food value chain so that we don't end up wasting. If you look at Kenya, for example, you look at maize. As you know now, Kenya, the topic is ugali. We are not getting enough ugali, or it's too much. As much as we are lacking ugali at the moment, if you go to Western, and I've just come from there during the harvesting of maize, there's a lot of maize which is being wasted because of handling, post-harvest handling, the drying of the maize, the storage. The maize is eaten by weevils and all this. Last year we did a survey and found that we're almost losing like 20% of the crop. At the moment in Molo, people are throwing away cabbages, carrots, being wasted because somehow we have not got our supply chain sorted out properly. While at the same time, people are starving in this country.
Yes.
So there's a lot of food that is lost from the point of production, to whether it's the farm or the package or the factory, because of non-functioning packaging or inadequate packaging. If you go around to the country or you travel along the road, you'll see a lot of bananas rotting, you see mangoes rotting, you go on a road, people are chancing to sell you something, and you look at it, it is very horrific. So we are trying to bring, this is a day of awareness, to highlight that, yes, we are trying to take a lot of initiatives, and we are proud the country is trying to say we produce more food. That's good enough. We are giving fertilizers and all this. But if we look at it in totality, there is still a lot of waste that we can be able to to take out of the value chain, because a lot of land, a lot of labor, a lot of effort, a lot of energy spent in producing food. And yet, if we lose 30% of that, that means we are losing even the 30% of the fertilizer, which is subsidized.
Yes.
So we need to go back to the basics, to the farm, to the point of origin, and make sure no grain is lost, no banana leaf is lost, no mango is lost, no avocado is lost. A single avocado would be enough food for somebody in Turkana. A mango, you need to go to Marikiti here, or go to any market. We go to all these markets.
But you will see wastage on the ground,
yeah,
especially after they're done.
The oranges, the food waste.
And tomatoes as well.
Tomatoes, look at tomatoes. So we are saying, guys, let us stop for a while. If we are carrying bananas from Meru, or mangoes from wherever, or avocados from Ranga or wherever, let us package them the way nature has given us.
Yes.
Let us protect this basic protection. Let's pack in crates. Let's not just harvest mangoes and throw them in a lorry, or bananas and throw them in a lorry.
Yes.
Or tomatoes. I've seen tomatoes reaching here. They were all piled in a lorry. And when they reach here, almost half of them are
they're already gone, isn't it?
They are spoiled.
Yes, Mr. Nyongesa, for the sake of this conversation as well, let's drift a little bit to you, Zippy. I'm going to come back to you even on the general aspect of how FAO now is in this conversation. On household level, what do you think the problem is? Because is it the majority of people have not been told how to take care of that food on household level? And what we need to do to change that?
I think it's the conversation is now started to create this awareness. It's about how much food do you have on your plate? Can you finish it?
It starts from there.
Yes. So if you're given a big ugali and you eat half of it and throw out the other half, that's a waste. It's as simple as that.
It's that basic conversation. Then somebody asked, yes, you might be talking to these households about even how to, take their share. But some of them will say, we don't even have food bags around. Should I save it? Where am I going to take it? Should I want to feed somebody else out of the extra that I have? Where do I take? Do you think that is the infrastructure that is lacking locally?
It even goes before then. It's portion packs. It's portions. How many people do we have in the house? How much food must I cook to feed the people in the house? So you don't take food to waste. So it's as simple as that. So it goes back to planning. When you're planning your meals, how do you plan your meals?
Yes.
When you buy food and you don't finish it, how do you store it? So it's also about storage. Because also a lot of food goes to waste during storage. So you cook a lot of food, you don't eat all of it, you save it for tomorrow, maybe you cook something different for tomorrow, and therefore the whole food just goes into waste. So it's about planning, it's about awareness, it's about thinking clearly, thinking through, who am I cooking for, how much food am I cooking? So it's as basic as that. Yes, and that's the awareness we are trying to create. In households. Because all of us can do something about wasting food.
So somebody asked me to ask you this question. Since we celebrated the first International Day for Food Management and Waste, have you, on a personal level, what achievement would you say, even today as we celebrate this third one, that you look back and say, well, we were here on the first one, I think I can see developments on a household levels that you can actually point towards?
Perhaps let me talk about personally myself. I will ask you, how hungry are you before I can cook some food? And of course,
that's an important question, isn't it?
Yes.
On a scale of 1 to 10, you ask everybody that.
Yes. If anybody who comes to my house, I tell you, how hungry are you? So once I know how hungry you are, I know you will have 2 cups of ugali.
I see.
Or 1 cup of ugali. And it sounds weird, but that's what I do. And when people come to my house, for example, and eat food and leave food on the plate, I tell them, we don't waste food in this. I want this plate to be as clean.
Because I asked you before I prepared for you this dish, isn't it?
Yes.
It's an important
and if they take food and they don't finish it, I pack it for them.
Go clear this meal once you get to whatever it is you're going. Important conversation.
It's very simple. That's where it starts.
It starts from there, isn't it? On a household level. Mr. Nyongesa, let me come back to you then so we look at the overall picture in the country. As the CEO, do you feel that the government is embracing this idea that let's package our food properly for us not to lose it? And is there any development that we've made? And I want you to talk to me about FAO as well, so that we see where they are in this conversation as well as local consumption is concerned.
Okay, thank you. Just maybe to add on at the household level, a lot of times when we go to buy food, we don't look at the sell-by date, the expiry date. So sometimes you'd buy food that's coming to expire in your house. So customers just pick food. You buy milk, bread. Maybe the milk is left with 1 day to expire. Or the bread, sometimes you find the bread going moldy in your house. And I'm sure most of us have experienced that. So you have to throw it away. So we need to now develop a culture. When we go to the market, we look at expiry dates and sell-by dates. Now, coming to your question, as a country, packaging it has moved in this country, and it continues to move, and it is leading in the region. Government is trying to bring in policies, procedures on how we can strengthen the packaging subsector. For us, as an institute, we are mainly concerned with building skills to make sure the packages that are developed can be able to protect and save food safely. They are functional. They are fit for purpose. From the point of consumption, production, to the point of use. Whether we are designing bottles, when we look at packaging, there are several materials. You'll find that we are talking of plastics. You see, plastic is a plastic containers or pouches, that is packaging. You'll talk of glass, you'll talk of metal, you'll talk of paper. So anytime we make a pack, we make sure it is fit for purpose.
On that specific product.
On that specific.
That is trying to sell, isn't it?
If it is milk, it must be able to protect that milk. The way it is sealed, nothing can get in, no air can get in, or no moisture if it doesn't need moisture. It is properly sealed so that I'm sure when you go to the market, you'll see that the milk packs are properly sealed, and we have been part of that development. When you
and are they embracing the suggestions that you give them? And I'm talking specifically about the retailers, because we know they also then contribute heavily to the food loss and waste in this country.
That's right. First, you see, as a producer, as a milk producer or unga producer, I can make my packet very proper. But if the handling in the retail is not proper, then it will go to waste. For example, if in the retail they don't practice fast come in, fast come, go out, then the product will expire in the supermarket. If they bring the milk for today and put on the front of the shelf, and then the other one is still at the back, it will go. So they are also impressing those ideas of fast in, fast come, and
also the logistics. If the producer, if the manufacturer of the product does not stack it in the correct way, it gets transport damage. If it gets transport damage, then that is a waste.
Down.
And I think that is where we have one of the biggest losses is in the value chain. The transportation from the point of departure from the point of production to the point of consumption. The way our trucks, the way they are designed, they are not really, they are just stuck anyhow. I think you have seen boxes collapsing.
That's it. We have the normal mode of transport in the country, border, which you cannot tell me that it can be allowed to carry bags or crates of milk, isn't it? So you've got to put into that perspective, Mr. Nyongesa, just because of time, I want you to mention where FAO is in this conversation, because I know you're in contact with them. What are they saying? What developments are we seeing from that?
When the UN met, the UN resolution, the UNGA resolution of 2019, 9th September, they met a resolution that there is a problem in the world. You know, the SDG says, SDG number 2, no hunger. by 2030. But are we going to have, when we wake up 2030, 1st January, shall we have anybody hungry?
I don't think we can meet that by going by what is going on in this country.
In fact, they say stop food waste and loss. They say stop food loss and
by
waste.
2030.
That is the SDG.
Yes.
SDG is a social, Sustainable Development Goal. UN says that by 2030, no zero hunger. You know, the big agendas. But in its wisdom, the United Nations noticed from various studies that we are wasting a lot of food in the household and in the value chain. So what do? We are wasting almost 30%. So even if we say, as part of trying to ensure we meet the 2030 requirement, we need to do something. We need to do something about waste. And any casual guy, you don't have to do all the statistics. You'll see that there is actually food waste. You need to walk anywhere in the farms or in these value chains, in the household, you see there is food waste. So there is that recognition that there is food waste. So FAO was mandated to oversee this, to facilitate and assist the process or create support awareness at the household level and also in the value chain, and to use technology to bring in interventions that can be able to help in this matter. For example, there is, if we look at the maize supply chain, sometimes you put maize, you put them into your gunny bags, and then the weevils come to eat the food before you reach it, or the rats come to eat it. So we need technology to be able to support that. Like one of the new technologies that has come is called hermetic bags, where oxygen, air, and moisture cannot get in.
Yes.
So when you put your grain there and seal, it will stay for a whole year. So you know this agriculture is very seasonal. So there's a time when you have a lot of food and there's no time when you have no food. That's it. So the FAO is leading on to create this awareness. But that doesn't stop anybody else, even you. Yes. You are also doing something. Yes. And we applaud the Look TV because you are the first ones in the country to bring out this agenda. You see, even if we try to produce a lot of food, which is good enough, and yet we are going to waste 30%. We are going to waste that fertilizer and everything. So we laud this TV for this initiative, and it should be shouted louder that as much as we want to produce a lot of food, let us look at the wastage. Let us look at the handling in the supply chain. Let the people stop to think that we are having 4 million people in Kenya starving at the moment. And even in Nairobi here, there are people who don't know where the next meal will come from. You know,
it's interesting when you say that. Mr. Nyongesa, just because of time, I'm told we only have 1 minute left for this conversation. It's been 30 minutes of conversation. Let's do like this. I'm going to give you 15 seconds. Let's speak to the household level. In 15 seconds, Zippy, what are you going to tell anybody listening to you right now in as much as this conversation for food management and waste and loss is concerned?
It's time to take action. It's a call to action for everyone to come up with innovative ways of saving food.
That's it. Yep. Mr. Nyongesa, just 15 seconds to anybody who's trying to think, how do I celebrate this day, especially the retailers that I know you're in close contact with. How can they further this conversation? 15 seconds.
Well, they can further the conversation by ensuring that their handling systems respect like first in, first out. Yes. And to make sure that the way they store and move the products cannot be contributed to wastage. And if there is, by monitoring the expiry of the products so that they don't wait for them to expire on the shelves. Because that's where they normally sometimes happen. But they are trying their best.
They're trying their best. Guess what, guys? It's your first time here at Look Up TV. That is your door as well. I'll be calling you back.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
And I do laud any other person who's taking those conversations into focus. We really need to think about food loss. Because, according to UN, we need to stop hunger by 2030. We can't do that if we're not taking these conversations as seriously as they need to. Take them back to the time that he came to the studio at Look Up TV across all your social media platforms. I know you've had in your questions and sentiments. I do apologize. We didn't have time to go through them, but guess what? I'll be forwarding them to them so they can get to respond to you directly. I'll see you tomorrow where we get to talk about another aspect of agriculture. And as far as this conversation is concerned, let's question fertilizer subsidy. Will it work? And if it's going to work, when are we going to see the results? My name is SIMBA KIAGE. I'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
What happened? Like, you know,